Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We're sharing expert advice and practical tips that'll improve your cattle production. Plus, we'll highlight some of NCBA's producer education programs and how they can add value to your farm or ranch.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association takes great pride in making sure producers stay on top of the latest production and management techniques to help them through the daily challenges of our industry. And joining us now to discuss these efforts is Josh White. He's the Senior Executive Director of Producer Education and Sustainability for NCBA. Josh, thanks for coming to the show.
Always a pleasure to join you, Kevin.
So why is producer education such a top priority for NCBA?
Well, we're all about being a leader in the industry, and we hear from our producers out in the country every year when we do surveys that our advocacy efforts in DC are number one priority for them and our role there. But right underneath that is producer education and communication, really letting them know what's the latest coming down the pike in research and even products and different things that can help them make a profit and stay in business. So we try to do our part with bringing them current information.
And you do a great job. One of my favorite programs, of course, is Cattlemen's College. I'm curious, how do you and your team constantly come up with the programming and the speakers to invite to that event?
Yeah, there's a few elements to that. Number one, we ask for input through a survey every year at Cattlemen's College. We also survey attendees at other programs that we're going to talk about today. So we're constantly getting feedback from producers on what they want to hear about, what they want to hear more about, less about, if it's reacting to that year's lineup of speakers and topics. But we also have an open call for speakers and topics. After Cattlemen's College each year wraps up, we go through a period of a few months where we're basically saying, hey, if you're in academia, if you're a company that thinks you have something innovative to offer, or just a producer that you've heard a great speaker at the local level and you think they should be elevated to national, programming, then let us know about it. So we get a lot of suggestions in through that.
You can nominate yourself or others to be part of that program. That's outstanding. Stockmanship and stewardship, that's another popular program. It's back again. Tell us more about these events.
We bring those all around the country. So, included in that is cattle handling demonstrations. Yeah. We've got a little elevated focus on grazing management right now, thinking about that whole sustainability narrative and how important that is. So we bring in a lot of producers and outside subject matter experts on all these topics, and of course getting BQA certified, handling cattle, hearing the latest in nutrition, and all over the country. Be sure and check it out at stockmanshipandstewardship.org. Folks can find out all about them.
And for those viewers who may say, hey, I'd love to, but I really can't afford to, there is a way to get reimbursed for coming to some of these educational programs, correct?
That's right. And we hope more people will take advantage of that. It's called the Ranchers Resilience Grant. Mm-hmm. You can find it, all the info under the producer tab at ncba.org. There's probably 8 or 10 events listed right now that producers can be reimbursed their registration fee and the hotel costs.
Wow.
All the stockmanship and stewardship events are on there, plus some King Ranch events. We've got a couple of grazing conferences this year that are eligible. So be sure and check that out. Beef Improvement Federation's another popular one that folks have used, that Rancher Resilience Grant.
Well, the other issue can be, for some of us, we're entering a very busy time of year, and sometimes it's just difficult to get away from the farm or ranch. But you all do have some online programming that we can take advantage of as well. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways. Number one, back to Cattlemen's College, we do record those sessions and make them available online for a small fee. You can access that library. So you can check that out if you saw some speakers there that you really want to hear, but you didn't make it. We also have a webinar series that we've been rolling on for 5 or 6 years now. That's become really popular. We record those as well, so they can be reviewed after the fact. We did one on just this spring. We've done vaccination technology. We've done several around genetics, and then we just had one more on the whole issue of carbon credits and how folks should be approaching that. We've done one of those each of the last 2 years. That's been such a hot topic. So a lot of good information online as well.
And again, they can go to the website, right?
That's right. It's under the producer tab, like most of the stuff I've been talking about at ncba.org.
Fantastic. Josh, thank you for everything you and your team does for our industry.
Well, we enjoy it every day, trying to add value for producers.
You bet. Now, to find out more about the programs Josh talked about and all the education information available to beef producers, just visit ncba.org and click on the Producer tab at the top of the page. Still ahead, we'll take you inside a regional stockmanship and stewardship event to see how NCBA is helping to educate producers. That story when we return.
There's never a dull moment for the Nelsons. Fifth-generation Montana ranchers. Since 1868, they've been herding cattle, reeling in trout, and exploring Paradise Valley from their backyard. Here's to another 150 years of adventure. There's a story in every piece of land. Run with us on a John Deere Gator XUV and start telling yours.
CattleCon's geared up for a real Texas get-together in San Antonio, February 4th through 6th, 2025. This is where we all come together and the big decisions get made. Like they say, if you ate at the table, you might just be on the menu. So let's show up and make sure your voice counts. While you're here, you've got to check out the acres and acres of the newest in cattle care and ranch tech at the Texas-sized NCBA trade show. It's the perfect place to learn new tricks, meet new folk, and find ways to make your operation even better. Make connections that last, learn from the pros, and help steer the future of the cattle biz. So what are you waiting for? San Antonio remembers the Alamo, and you'll want to remember CattleCon 2025, February 4th through 6th. Grab your hat and mosey on over to convention.ncba.org to learn more. We can't wait to see y'all at CattleCon 2025, where the beef industry meets.
Cattle producers, you need to know that a 2024 Stockmanship and Stewardship event is coming to a location near you in August and October. Sponsored in part by Neogen, these are two-day educational experiences created just for cattle producers. Each event offers low-stress cattle handling demonstrations from Ron Gill and Kurt Pate, ideas on facilities design, and expert speakers.
I think coming to these stockmanship and stewardship events is a great way to further invest in yourself as a livestock and in particular beef producer. I think that you're not only going to be able to see some of the nice and kind of the fun cattle handling stuff, but you're going to learn best and greatest in what's happening with beef quality assurance, what's happening in the beef industry. So I think there's a lot of value that you get in the fellowship, a lot of value that you get in the education, and that doesn't matter whether you're starting and you have 2 cows or whether you have 2,000 cows and have been in it 7 generations.
Attending also gives you the chance to get BQA certified in person. And at 2 of the sessions this year, there will be valuable and practical information on grazing management.
It's no secret that a large part of the country was in a drought and is coming out of a drought, and as well as, drought is still affecting other parts of the country. So grazing management is just so crucial to these producers so they can optimize their cow herd, so their cow herd can continue to be profitable and to be even more profitable. There's a ton of updated information out there, and we've been working with a lot of subject matter experts in the field, so we're really highlighting that at all of our events this year.
On our ranch, we've just seen tremendous improvement when we got into planned rotational grazing. When we got into it, and I started very slow. I just took one big pasture and divided it twice, and then I observed it, and I'm like, wow, this looks like it made a difference. And now we've got 100 and some pastures, and we're moving cattle every 1 to 7 days, and we've seen tremendous improvement. Our profitability, which is one of our big goals, bring profitability back to the ranch, is going like that.
Education and real-world insights about grazing management will be part of the 2024 Stockmanship and Stewardship events in Utah and New York. Additional events will take place this year in California and Wisconsin. The cost to attend is low, and there are opportunities to have some of your costs covered by a Rancher's Resilience Grant. All you need to know to go and learn is available at the website stockmanshipandstewardship.org.
Still ahead on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll tell you about a great partnership that makes it easier for producers to attend educational events. That story when we return.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is the oldest and largest national cattle industry organization working to defend your interests in Washington, D.C. And there are big benefits to being a member. You'll get news you can use in the National Cattlemen, email updates in the NCBA Beef Bulletin, plus big discounts only for NCBA members. Join by calling 866-233-3872 or online at ncba.org.
This beef quality assurance tip is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
I'm Dan Buskirk, Beef Extension Specialist with Michigan State University, with a beef quality assurance tip. Radio frequency identification, or RFID, is an increasingly popular method of individual animal identification. You should always apply tags according to the manufacturer's instructions to increase readability and retention. First, make sure you have the correct applicator for the tags you are using. Next, make sure that the animal is secured so that the tag can be applied properly on the left ear. Make sure that the female part of the tag is on the inside of the ear and the male stud is on the back of the ear. We want to place the tag 1/4 to 1/3 of the distance from the head to make sure that we have good retention. If we put the tag too close to the head, we may have the tag discs too tight to one another so that the animal's ear does not heal properly. And if it's too far from the head, it may increase the chance for that tag to tear the ear and reduce retention. For more information on animal identification and record keeping, check with your state extension beef cattle team or visit bqa.org.
The Beef Quality Assurance Program is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
As we've highlighted throughout this show, producer education continues to be a priority for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Matt Fleck has a look at a special grant that makes it easier for members of the beef industry to attend these valuable events.
Shauna Bratton has deep roots in agriculture. Her family has been farming in this part of Virginia for more than 150 years.
Bratton Farms has been in existence actually since 1769. One of the Brattons from over in England, Robert Bratton, came over and settled here in 1769. So we have been actively farming that part of the property along with some others since then. Over the years, we've been fortunate enough to expand, and we have beef cattle and sheep on our operations. We do background our own calves during the winter months and then sell them in the spring.
The situation is different at Patriot Farms in North Carolina. Jason Lee Gordon and his wife are first-generation farmers and don't have nearly as much history with agriculture.
My wife and I are first-generation farmers. Basically, grew up in subdivisions, and we always wanted more. We wanted to do more with our lives. We decided to try and get into farming, and we love the land more than anything, and we realized that the cattle are a big part of it and creating a healthy ecosystem. So cattle are just a natural fit for what we want to do as land stewards.
Off to the west, in Texas, Sean Kerr just recently returned to ranching after several years away from agriculture.
I grew up on an alfalfa ranch farm and said I'd never do agriculture again. And then I walked by the TV one night and saw this advertisement for property in Lampasas, Texas. And I looked at my wife and I was like, don't even know where that's at, but I want to do this. So I got their information off the TV. I went and put it in, and we came out here and we purchased. I decided that my business model was going to be a direct-to-consumer type business model. We started by processing our first steer in October. He's not for sale. He's being used as our test market. And but come February, March, we'll start producing for sale. So that's our goal.
One thing these three families have in common is the desire to learn and grow by discovering new techniques to better manage their operations. They have all traveled to in-person educational events to gather practical advice from industry experts.
I think you learn better in person. You tend to retain it more than just grazing over it in a email or even a catalog. Listening to somebody about something that you're passionate to, it tends to stick a little better.
By meeting people from other areas of the country, you learn that they have many of the same challenges as what you do have on your own farm operation. It gives you a fresh perspective and helps you to see things from a different viewpoint. And with that viewpoint, you can come back and you can look at the changes that you need to make on your own farm.
Getting to meet people, getting to talk to people, getting to see how other people do what I want to do, which is to produce beef, was valuable to me.
Through a partnership with the National Cattlemen's Foundation and Cargill Protein, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association offers the Rancher Resilience Grant, which cattle producers can apply for to help offset some of the cost of attending educational events.
The Rancher's Resilience Grant covers registration and hotel costs for producers. It is a reimbursement process, so producers will need to register and pay for the event, but then we reimburse that registration cost and their hotel costs.
Our local extension agent told us about the Rancher's Resilience Grant and how it could help us to go to the class that we went to at the National Grazing Lands Conference. It really gave us the money that we needed to be able to step away from the farm and make that trip worthwhile.
With that grant, that helped with registration for the conference, the different conference fees, and allowed me to attend lots of different sessions on grazing management, and I could bring that knowledge back to Virginia.
If somebody says there's a grant out there, well, I apply, because at the end of the day, it's opportunity to learn, it's the opportunity to get ahead.
Local, state, and national events qualify for the Rancher Resilience Grant, and the application is easy to complete.
You apply through a short application. You need to complete the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef modules, and then you attend the event and you fill out a survey, submit a photo. It's pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. However, we are always available to answer any questions you might have.
It was easy to apply for on the website. There were some education modules that you needed to complete, but those were valuable to me. And it was an easy process.
It didn't take long at all. I think it took me 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get the application completed. I found it to be a very easy application. Definitely recommend it to anybody who's needing educational opportunities.
So whether you're new to the beef business or been around for decades, the Rancher Resilience Grant can help you attend valuable programs and training sessions that can improve the profitability of your business.
It covers a wide array of industry events, such as breed association conventions, our NCBA events. You know, it's a really wide spectrum and a great opportunity, and we really hope to encourage producers to utilize the grant.
It's always hard to find time to get away from the farm, but with the Rancher's Resilience Grant, that gives you an opportunity to get off the farm, go view other parts of the country, learn more about ideas you can bring back to your own farm.
As a new farmer and being tight on cash, the Rancher's Resilience Grant was the big help for us. I would encourage anybody to use it on an event to actually learn something that could benefit them for the rest of their life.
I'm Matt Fleck, reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
For more information on how you can apply for the Rancher's Resilience Grant, go to the website ncba.org and click on the Producers tab. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll share some cattle handling tips from a recent Stockmanship and Stewardship event. Don't go away. We'll have more right after this.
Weeds will rob me of my investments. The weeds are not palatable to cows. They will not eat them, or if they do eat them, some of them may be toxic. So there's a return on investment by allowing there to be more grass available to be grazed by the cattle.
Are you concerned about the impact government policies could have on your cattle business? One way to make your voice heard in Washington is by joining NCBA. When you join, you'll be part of the nation's oldest and largest national cattle industry organization that has a professional team working in Washington, D.C. on issues that matter to cattle-producing families nationwide. Don't stay on the sidelines. Make your voice heard by joining NCBA today at the website ncba.org.
Did you know you can get reimbursed for attending cattle industry educational events? The Rancher Resilience Grant helps cattle producers attend valuable programs such as Cattlemen's College and Stockmanship and Stewardship training sessions. Local, state, and national events qualify for the grant, and successful applicants can receive money back to help cover registration fees and hotel expenses. To apply for the Rancher Resilience Grant, go to ncba.org and click on the Producer tab.
Safe and effective cattle handling can lower the risk of injury and improve performance. Those are two things that can have major impacts on your bottom line. Here are some valuable tips on working cattle that were offered at a recent Stockmanship and Stewardship event in Virginia.
Are fight or flight animals. There's two basic factors that factor into how they're going to respond to environmental stimuli. So we have genetics. Then there's also learned behavior. So cattle can learn by experience, they can learn by watching other cattle. So we want to take that learned behavior and make it a good experience, because we can teach cattle to fear us, or we can teach cattle to work with us. So we'll start with the flight zone. The flight zone is the area around the cattle where once you step into, it creates movement. Then there's also the point of balance. The point of balance is around the shoulder region, but really depends on the eye. Cattle really have to see you for this all to work. Once you walk past, and cattle always want to move to the area of least pressure, and they are pressure release learners. So if I have the eye of my cattle right here and I'm going to walk past that eye towards its tail, it wants to go back past me. So that's one point of balance. Now most of us, where do we like to go when we empty a pen? To the back of the pen, right? But then you get a bottleneck and nobody wants to move, and all you do is hit the back of the herd, and the front of the herd's not going anywhere. So what we try to do is the handler will work from the front of the pen to empty that pen. We'll walk past the flight zone of one, get it moving. Walk past the flight zone of another, get it moving. Slowly keeping that nice calm demeanor. Your cows aren't stressed. You'll get the herd instinct and you'll empty that pen quicker than you ever have. Parallel movement is used sometimes to slow the herd or stop the herd. You're moving parallel to their point of balance, so they stop and look at you. So you can give them either go that way, or maybe I'm going to stop you and I'm going to do something different and change direction. And I will point out right now that whether you call it low stress cattle handling, good stockmanship, every clinician, every person is going to approach it differently. And it doesn't mean they're right or wrong, but I do encourage you to listen to everyone. Go out and see anything you can. Take the little tidbit that works for you and try to apply it to get a positive result.
To find out more about all the great educational programs the National Cattlemen's Beef Association offers, just visit ncba.org and click on the Producers tab at the top of the page. While you're there, you should also consider becoming a member. NCBA staff in Washington, D.C. and Denver work every day to protect cattle-producing families all across the country. Joining could be one of the best decisions you make for your cattle operation and our entire beef industry. Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks for spending time with us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.